Welcome back to another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Today it's Wednesday, and that means it's Underwater Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about the umbrella rig. My buddy Matt Steffen did an episode 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that, about umbrella rig retrieves. And again, sometimes when he does these episodes, they're great informational episodes. I love the information he puts out. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I wish I could see what's going on under the water when you're talking about that. So we did it again, man. We just, hey, we're going to take that information, but we're going to do it where you can actually see what's happening to the bait when we've got those different retrieves for an umbrella rig. There are several retrieves that are really absolutely great retrieves to use when you're throwing an umbrella rig. It actually triggers fish to bite using these different retrieves. So we're going to get in the pool. We're going to show you about this. Stick around, guys. You're going to want to see this. Welcome back to MFO, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Mark Fisher, and we are going to get in the pool, and we're going to talk about how to retrieve an umbrella rig. Okay? And again, there are some different retrieves. We're going to show you not only what we're doing with the reel handle, but also what the bait is actually doing when you use that specific type of retrieve. And guys, there are basically about 3 different retrieves that I want to tell you about in this video. The first one, a steady retrieve on an umbrella rig can catch fish. And you're seeing this is just a typical kind of slow retrieve that you're seeing as it's going by. And you can trigger fish with that steady retrieve. However, you have to remember that this umbrella rig is mimicking a ball of bait fish swimming by. And that ball of bait fish has a tendency when it either changes directions or comes across some kind of an obstacle or senses danger, that it moves and it almost darts, but instead of one individual fish darting, the entire ball of bait fish tends to dart. And so what we want to do is we want to impart that motion into the umbrella rig. And the way to do this is this retrieve here. So you'll notice that what I'm doing is I'm winding the handle, but every once in a while, I'll give it kind of a stop and go kind of a retrieve. And I like the stop and go more than tipping the rod tip and kind of jerking the rod tip. If you jerk the rod tip, you still get that kind of movement where the entire, quote, bait fish ball moves, but it almost kind of moves too erratically. And when you start and stop the handle, instead you get kind of a quick kind of undulation of the umbrella rig. And that's what you see right there, is that undulation when you start and stop the handle. So this is the first retrieve that I highly recommend, and that, you know, we heard about from Matt, that a steady retrieve, and then every once in a while add that stop and go kind of quick motion on the reel handle, which gets you this type of a movement from your umbrella rig. Now, the next retrieve that we wanted to talk about is one where we're, instead of using the reel handle, we're doing a sweeping motion. And this sweeping motion reminds me of, you know, if I'm throwing a Carolina rig and I throw it out, I let it get to the bottom, and then instead of moving the umbrella rig by reeling, I'm actually sweeping the rod itself, and that's getting that bait to, you can get that bait to ride a little closer to the bottom. You can still get those swim baits and those blades to move, but you can keep it along the bottom. And then if you want to add that little jerky kind of motion to it, you can do that. And this is what you see when you kind of do that sweeping motion that we were just showing you, instead of a steady retrieve. And you'll notice the biggest thing is that it keeps that bait along the bottom much easier, because the more you reel steadily, the more that umbrella rig is going to ride up in the water column. Now, the third thing that is important is coming across pieces of cover, whether it's a stump or a pier post or anything like that. We want to be able to come across that piece of cover and again give that natural action like the bait ball is swimming along that cover and all of a sudden getting scared of something that might be in there. And so it's swimming normally and then all of a sudden begins to kind of flee. That fleeing motion that you're seeing right there, that's what's going to trigger that bass to come out of that cover and strike that umbrella rig, is that quick fleeing motion, that darting motion. And so what you're doing is just a steady reel and then a kind of a quick burning kind of with your reel handle as you reel it past that piece of cover. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in to Mark Fisher Outdoors, and we hope you like this content. We'd also hope that you would subscribe to the channel as you're watching this video. This is the kind of stuff that we like to put out where we get a little bit more in depth into the techniques to use and be able to give you kind of a visual perspective on what the baits look like when you're doing that action with your reel handle or with your rod tip. And this kind of gives you that kind of perspective. Now, guys, one of the things that I have to mention, you'll notice this is the umbrella rig that we used in today's video. And you notice that we had 3 baits attached to this umbrella rig. Regulations across the country change state to state. This is an umbrella rig that I use on Lake Geneva, and our regulations on Lake Geneva say that we can only have 3 hooks. The other 2 arms on this umbrella rig are just kind of filled with dummies or, kind of just blanks, because we can't, on Lake Geneva in Wisconsin, we can't have 5 hooks on an umbrella rig. Make sure that you check out your regulations in your state and you know how many active baits, how many hooks you can actually have when you're throwing an umbrella rig. Guys, we hope this underwater perspective was helpful, and absolutely, if you get a chance to go out in the wintertime, make sure that you're throwing an umbrella rig. Use these retrieves, and in the wintertime, I can guarantee that this is one of the 5 best baits that you should be using in the wintertime. This is the time to be using it amongst all the other times when they're effective. This is one of the key times that bait is super effective to use. So try it out. It's wintertime. You got the ability to do it if you still got some open water somewhere. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in, and we will talk to you again tomorrow on another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care, everybody.